Hello, welcome back. Hopefully, you are doing great. Today, we are having a fantastic lecture. So, we're gonna have decoupling, right? This is something really important topic. So, we have gonna talk and explain it. So, simply, I could break it down, this concept with a clear and easy way. Hopefully, you can understand. And you might not get understand if you have having any trouble or something. Of course, you can have any comments below, right? And give me your suggestions if I did a mistake or your suggestion or objections whatsoever you have it. So kindly let me know in the comment, all right? So let's get started about a decoupling. What's decoupling? Environmentally, what's the benefits of decoupling? What's the concept? Um, how about the economic benefits? And how is the impact of decoupling over sustainability, right? So, of course, in simple terms, I could say decoupling is a sustainability or environmental economics, you know, and a strategy or a simple method, all right? Means that breaking the link between economic growth or environmental damage, right? So when we see here, like economic growth, GDP, historically, we can see that the GDP goes up, right? And we use more and more resources and cause more pollution when the economic activity goes up, all right? On the one hand, we are having economic growth, we are having more job, we are more having more GDP growth, more money, more development, everything. On the other hand, we got a lot of detrimental pollution to the environment. The environment get flattened, get destroyed, right? So here, when we have decoupling method, or we having this decoupling strategy in our economic growth, or we have to understand like how to adapt this decoupling. I could also give example, right? Simply about the decoupling, how this could be leads to a stable economic growth and less environmental damage, right? So we see that um, there are two concepts on decoupling, two types of decoupling, right? Core concept of right, we see here right now like present and future. I could see like simply like from the present to the future we are moving forwards, and the gap between we have it here, right? So this present two distinct steps we have, right? The first steps, right, in the initial time, like at the initially, like we have to see the resource decoupling, how to have the resource decoupling, a relative decoupling also it's called, right? So what does it mean? What does it refer? Decoupling resources uses like materials, raw materials, energy, land, and etc. from economic growth. That means like GDP, right? So it it leads when we have like decoupling the resources, that helps or that leads more value per kilogram, right? More value to the per kilogram, right? So see, when we have the economic growth, so we add more value to the per kilogram. So on the other hand, the economy is getting skyrocket right upward, but the resources consumption is growing at much lower, at much more lower, slower and flatten rate, right? Resources get get down and flatten and does not move forward. The consumption get lesser and lesser at a flatter rate, right? So the magic here is that this create eco-efficiency, that you are getting more economic output on the one hand. On the other hand, what is that? It is more, economic growth and more efficiency, and it also, in every single kilogram of materials you use, you are getting more efficiency, more economic output, more growth. This is the single and magic line, you know. On the one hand, you're getting more economic growth. On the other hand, you get more eco efficiency. When you have what? Decoupling, all right? Decoupling of what? Of course, decoupling of resources. And, all right? So you get more eco efficiency and more value to impact even to the environment, right? So because you do not like growing, or that does not cause a detrimental effect to environment, right? So we have another types of like decoupling, that is impact decoupling or absolute decoupling, right? So what's that? That decoupling refers in this case, like impact decoupling could be like absolute to the environment. So there's a less damage to the environment that is considerably more efficient. All right. So the impact is what? It also like create lesser and lesser carbon dioxide, and also of course pollution and biodiversity losses, and when because of the use of the resources. So what does lead? That leads to less impact per kilogram, right? Less impact per kilogram. Like when we use the resources, there's less emissions of the of course the pollution, also biodiversity losses as well. So there's a lot of like impactful positive impact towards the environment, right? So here we see, look at the gap between the green dotted line and of course line that resources uses, right? The green here, the line here. So while also red line we see here decoupling environment impact, your resource uses less impact per kilogram, right? So while we are still using resources, our actual damage to the planet is actively decreasing. You know, we use all the resources, but the environmental the impact that could be detrimental to the resource, to the environment, is much lesser and getting lesser and lesser. So this is the effectiveness of the decoupling, all right? And it creates eco-effectiveness, and that happens through the shift in the renewable energy, of course, zero waste circular system, and clean technology, right? So I could also give an example for your better understanding. Um, like take a look to the old days or old age. There was no decoupling, all right? So in the 1990s, there were more people. If there were more people who wanted to like fund factories to had more mines to have more funds, and there was like massive amounts of you know when people were demanding more funds, they used to have had more mines, and that mines helps to create funds, and also plastic and metals to build a kind of a big funds equal to size of bricks, right? So that more growth directly meant in that case like a massive proportional strength on that planet, right? So there was massive detrimental effect to the resources, more use and more detrimental effect to the environment, more damage to the environment, right? But the one hand, more economic growth as well was there, but there was no decoupling. Because of that, there was more environmental damage. So right now, what is happening right now the using of decoupling that is modern, like smartphone, lightweight, and less place camera and calculator, computer. All these are replaced, but economic growth and lesser. Right now, it's like we see economic growth on the one hand, on the other hand, use of the resources in a clear and an environmental friendly way. So, of course, when we see the smartphones are being produced, they are using the decoupling. In the decoupling health a lot of um, environmental, effectiveness, and that simply means that there is more efficiency, more efficiency and effectiveness, and this helps create better and better, environmental friendly, products. So there's been sure to have recycle, features as well over there. So here certainly we can see in the modern days, like when you see the decoupling is taking place and fewer raw materials and per device is used, and they are made all its item like separately and impact environmentally friendly and have a good impact as well. There's no problem as well. So you see like less detrimental to the environment. So all these are being right now replaced uh, when we look at to the like the smartphone is also lightweight and small, and it could be portable and taken everywhere. So there's not more using a lot of plastic or metals as it was earlier. So the impact of decoupling as well is a clear, like on one hand there's a eco-friendly and efficiency, also economic growth, more economic activity. On the other hand, good economic growth. So this is what the decoupling is meant to be, and it is helpful for economy when we use the decoupling, and also help to the sustainable growth of economy. The sustainability must be ensured while we are having economic growth. All right, and lesser environmental damage. So thank you so much. I hope you understand whatsoever I told you here and explained here. Decoupling meant, and all these are were extremely important. If there's any problem or something was missing or confusing, please let me know in the comment below. Thank you so much. Have a nice time.